that has captured the attention of the continent. The alliance between Namibia's newly elected President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah and Botswana's President Duma Boko. Both leaders have publicly echoed the revolutionary stance of Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, a leader who has become a symbol of sovereignty and self-reliance in Africa. This is not just a political handshake, it's a turning point in the Pan-African dream, a call for unity, resource control, and actionable projects that will transform how African nations do business with each other and with the world.
We have a responsibility towards our people in our individual countries, in the sub-region SADC, and Africa as a whole. And I think this is really the time when we are seeing a lot of changes globally that Africa needs to re-engage among itself and decided on the best way we can serve the people of our continent. We have all what it needed. Over 60 years of Africa's independence. I'm sure we have all the skills that is required, and resources are still there. There's nothing really that can prevent us. What we need is just the political will, and then to act on any decisions that we are taking, which is aimed to save our people. Yes, Namibia and Botswana, we agree to continue strengthening our cooperation. The railway, as you have mentioned, Mr. President, is very critical as an economic driver. Now that Namibia has oil and gas, we cannot claim this to be a Namibian resources. It's a resources in our region. It's a resource in the neighborhood, and we can all benefit from it.
In the direction of facilitating free movement of goods and persons between the two countries. We need to build on these initiatives and strengthen and deepen them so that our people are able to travel freely and goods move more swiftly, more smoothly, more quickly. And trade is facilitated. We therefore will need to remove all blockages and barriers to trade, the flow of trade. There are many projects that we can co-invest in as countries. The President was indicating to me, after the discovery of oil and gas in Namibia, the prospect of establishing a refinery, which on some advice would not be viable because of the size of the population, but becomes viable if we take the population as not just the people of Namibia, but the people of this sub-region, more pointedly, and the people of the African continent more broadly. And so this aggregation, this bringing together of our numbers helps us to fortify our economies against the extraneous shocks to which these economies will increasingly be subjected in the unfolding political landscape.
President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, Namibia's first female head of state, is not new to the struggles of liberation and national development. With decades of experience in diplomacy, government, and activism, her rise to the presidency symbolizes both continuity and a bold new vision for Namibia and the region. President Duma Boko of Botswana, a seasoned politician and legal scholar, has long been an advocate for social justice and economic sovereignty. Recently, he made headlines across Africa for publicly praising Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership, specifically applauding his efforts to take control of Burkina Faso's uranium and natural wealth for the benefit of its citizens. These are not leaders waiting for Western validation. They are builders of a new future. leaders who recognize that the solutions to Africa's challenges must come from Africa itself. Captain Ibrahim Traore's rise to leadership in Burkina Faso has inspired millions. His refusal to bow to foreign interests and his insistence that Africa's resources must benefit African people has made him a continental icon. Traore's policies are about more than speeches. They're about action. From rejecting exploitative mining contracts to encouraging local governance and community ownership, his government has demonstrated what it means to put Africa first. Now, that bold spirit is spreading. President Boko's call for African leaders to do like Traore is not just praise, it's a challenge. And President Nandine Ndaitwah has answered that challenge with a visit that signals something powerful, that a new coalition of like-minded African nations may be forming. In Gaborone, Botswana's capital, President Nandine Ndaitwah was welcomed with full honors. But this was more than ceremony. It was the foundation of a strategic alliance. The two leaders held comprehensive bilateral talks focused on mutual goals: economic empowerment, resource control, trade expansion, and social development. They reaffirmed their countries' strong historical ties and agreed on concrete actions, most notably, the rapid implementation of the Trans-Kalahari Line project, a key trade and infrastructure initiative connecting their nations. The urgency and clarity of their agreement was clear. It is time to move beyond talk and into transformative action. This is the future of African diplomacy. Partnerships rooted in equality, mutual benefit, and vision. For far too long, Africa has been the richest continent with the poorest people. While global corporations rake in billions from minerals like uranium, cobalt, and diamonds, the local populations remain in poverty. What Traore, and now leaders like Nandine Ndaitwah and Boko, are saying is simple. This must end. Their call is not isolationist. It is assertive. It says African nations should manage their own resources, build local industries, and negotiate fair terms on the global stage. This approach empowers citizens, strengthens local economies, and reduces dependency on foreign aid or exploitation. One of the key agreements from the Namibia-Botswana meeting is the Trans-Kalahari Line project, a major infrastructure initiative that will facilitate trade, transportation, and regional integration. This project is more than a railway. It's a lifeline. It represents the physical and economic connection between two nations determined to grow together. By investing in logistics and shared infrastructure, Namibia and Botswana are paving the way for a stronger Southern African economy, less reliant on imports and more focused on local development. This model can be replicated across the continent, showcasing how unity breeds progress. This alliance is also symbolic of a deeper shift. For years, Pan-Africanism was treated as an idealistic dream, but today, it's becoming a practical roadmap. More and more leaders are recognizing that Africa's strength lies in unity, not division. By choosing to align publicly with Traore's vision, Nandine Ndaitwah and Boko are sending a message. Africa is no longer content with survival. It's time to thrive. African problems require African solutions, and this diplomatic meeting could be the first of many that lead to a truly connected, independent, and self-determined continent. The alliance between Namibia and Botswana, inspired by the bold leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore, is more than a moment. It's a movement. These leaders are not waiting for permission. They are reclaiming Africa's story, its wealth, and its future. They are proving that Pan-Africanism is not just an idea. It's a plan. Now more than ever, Africa needs its people to believe in its power, its potential, and its unity. If Traore lit the fire, Nandine Ndaitwah and Boko are carrying the torch forward. And as more nations rise, the continent will shine even brighter. Make Africa great isn't a slogan. It's a mission, and that mission is now in motion.
And I think this is really the time when we are seeing a lot of changes globally that Africa needs to re-engage among itself and decided on the best way we can serve the people of our continent. We have all what it needed. Over 60 years of Africa's independence, I'm sure we have all the skills that is required, and resources are still there. There's nothing really that can prevent us. What we need is just the political will, and then to act on any decisions that we are taking, which is aimed to save our people. Yes, Namibia and Botswana, we agree to continue strengthening our cooperation. The railway, as you have mentioned, Mr. President, is very critical as an economic driver. Now that Namibia has oil and gas, we cannot claim this to be a Namibian resources. It's a resources in our region. It's a resource in the neighborhood, and we can all benefit from it. You recall when we gave Botswana the dry port, we are saying that the fact that we are a coastal town, we cannot be selfish and deny our neighbors to have access to the port. So that is why all our neighbors, we gave them land to have access to the port. And this is really the trend that we need to be cooperating. So I'm very grateful that you have received us with your team. And really, I just want to confirm for them to know that don't complain when we have to manage the countries in the way we feel is necessary for the citizens of these two countries. And for us, we can engage at any time something comes up, and then we ask you to come on board and implement, since we have all taken an oath, and we need to go by that oath. Just to inform you, Mr. President, to cement the relationship between our two people, our two countries, the municipality of Windhoek has decided to name one of our streets after President Sekama. So the details are there. We know what he did for Namibia. We know what he did for this region, and we don't want him to be forgotten, particularly by the Namibian people, and then by implication our people to continue appreciating what Botswana has done for us. Yes, we are one. The Namibian, Botswanian of Namibian origin, the Hereros, very thankful you helped us to have some who are coming back, and the process is continuing. We really appreciate that. So we are one, and as we stand now, yourself and me are at the center, and the people of the two countries, they are looking at us to save them from whatever they are suffering from. And I think having accepted this responsibility, we have accepted to save them to the best of our ability. So thank you very much for receiving us, and let us continue to work together. Rest be assured that Namibia, even in the face of the multilateralism which is now being watered down, in the face of so many political dynamics, Namibia and Botswana will remain neighbors and will remain friends. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
We have begun. Even our predecessors in the offices that we now occupy had started some steps in the direction of facilitating free movement of goods and persons between the two countries. We need to build on these initiatives and strengthen and deepen them so that our people are able to travel freely and goods move more swiftly, more smoothly, more quickly, and trade is facilitated. We therefore will need to remove all blockages and barriers to trade, the flow of trade. There are many projects that we can co-invest in as countries. The President was indicating to me after the discovery of oil and gas in Namibia, the prospect of establishing a refinery, which on some advice would not be viable because of the size of the population, but becomes viable if we take the population as not just the people of Namibia, but the people of this sub-region, more pointedly, and the people of the African continent more broadly. And so this aggregation, this bringing together of our numbers helps us to fortify our economies against the extraneous shocks to which these economies will increasingly be subjected in the unfolding political landscape. We now have threats of a serious nature, imminent threats, where we now are moving away from multilateralism, and there's a large measure of unilateralism, in fact, creeping in. And any mitigation presented takes the form of, let's have a bilateral engagement where we discuss and you don't tell anybody what we've discussed. And in the end, the SADC region will be split and splintered by external powers. So we need to now exercise heightened vigilance in defense of our sovereignty as countries, in defense of our collective responsibility to our region and our continent as African people. I'm happy that Madam President has ascended. She came in and started taking some brisk steps, giving clear direction in relation to what Namibia wants and where it's going. I was extremely thrilled and encouraged when I saw what she did in the first few days of her ascendance. And I felt in good company that Africa is rising. And what we need to do is to strengthen each of these countries, find each other, hold each other by the hand, stand together and become true bearers of the flame of the meteoric rise of our continent. And so I'm most grateful that Madam President is here with her team. We have a number of projects that are bubbling beneath the surface. They need to now reach the surface and boil over so that they are translated into action. The rail line that should connect us is something that we need to push with some seriousness, with some speed as well, because it will create a corridor that will enable goods to move. It will also enable a decongestion of some other ports in Africa where the volume of traffic is now becoming overwhelming. And so we need to open up some of these other opportunities so that we assist. Namibia has been very generous to Botswana. We have been given land for a dry port. We are most grateful to the Namibian government. And we are confident. We have absolutely no doubt that the relations between our two countries will become stronger, will become firmer, will bring outstanding outcomes for our people. We've also agreed, as between the two of us, we know there are strictures of protocol where we tend to be treated like eggs. We end up believing we are eggs. We will break if we are left alone. But between the two of us, we will not be bound by any protocol. We'll be able to communicate freely. We'll be able to communicate regularly, because it is important for us to do this. We will not wait for the forum, the binational forum, to communicate with each other. We will reach out. We have to. And if we are required to make a short hop into Windhoek, we will do that, and vice versa, so that there's no delay in the execution of any agreed projects or in the exchange of any ideas and information between the two of us. And we trust that that spirit will also apply to all those who support these offices. Thank you very much for taking good care of Madam President, for advising, for working with her, and for, I'm sure, taking instructions when they're given, and ensuring that the program is moved along with some speed and agility. We're most humbled to have all of you here. We are more than grateful for the privilege of your presence in our country, Madam President. Thank you very, very much.